My channel, and in this video we are going to learn about another hook, which is UseReducer. And so UseReducer is a hook similar to like useState, but it's able to handle much more complex state, unlike useState. Okay, so in this video we will see how we can implement UseReducer in one of our old example, which is the last video which I made about to-do list, right? So in the screen you can see I have that project open on my localhost 3000. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform this into the UseReducer one. I'll be replacing my state. I'll be replacing my use state with UseReducer, and let's see how it goes. Okay, let's jump into the video. And in case you're new here, please consider subscribing. And let's get started. That was 4 weeks ago, and I have my to-do application. So here you can see that I have two different states that I've used in this application, which is first one is list of to-dos, and the second one is the new to-do that I'll be adding to the by going here and okay, so it adds it to the list. And we also have implemented a local storage system, so that even if I refresh my application, I don't lose any of my to-dos. You can see that everything is there even if I delete them. So I'll link this video in the description in case you are interested first to watch this video. And this one is going to be short since I've already done 80% of the stuff in the past video. Okay, so now the first step would be to create okay, so the way UseReducer works is you have to first create a reducer. Okay, and the concept of reducer comes from the array method reduce. Okay, so it's basically takes values and then it reduces it. Okay, so I don't know if you have seen or not, or if you know or not, that in array we have a method of reduce, and by which you can do something like get a sum of total values, or the sum of the values inside the array by using reduce function, and it makes it so easy. Okay, so this reducer is basically a similar concept, so in which we pass it action and initial state. Okay, so similar like reduce method. Okay, so here there you find pass accumulator by giving it a value of 0, or you can pass anything, and then by by each iteration to the inside the array, you add the values in the accumulator, and by end of the loop you get the total sum of all the values. So the way reducer works is you pass it an action and initial state. So initial state is basically, in this case, like I have two states. The first one is this one, and the second one will be the new to do. So you can see that my initial state would be, like for this case I have an empty initial state, and this one I have an object with title and description both being empty at the same time. Alright, so we can make, if we want to make this convert this into UseReducer one, we have to give initial values of like an empty one for the to-dos, and for the new to-do I will give this title and description of empty. Okay, so that will be my initial state, and then the first value which I give is the reducer. So a reducer is a function which basically updates your value, and it watches the store by action. You pass different action to them instead of using these method like set to dos or set new to do. You will basically tell it by saying that, hey, I want to use set to dos, or I want to use set new to do, passing it a string. Okay, so let's see how we can do it. Okay, so the first thing which we will do is to create a reducer. Okay, and the way you create a reducer is basically, reducer is just a function. Okay, so it's take two parameters. The first one is the state, and that is see, this state is just like this state, which you can see that yes, so this state, it takes a parameter of previous, and then it returns previous as it is, and then it it does not mutate it, but it returns another version of it, you can say. So states are immutable in React, right? So we don't have to mutate it. We basically generate a new version of it and then return it. Okay, so now what we do is inside our reducer we basically can use if else statement, because we will be watching over the action type. Okay, so action is something is basically like telling something like, hey, I want to set to dos or I want to set new to dos. Just like you can see in the increment or decrement example which I've done in my use state video. I'll link that one also. So in that video so my actions will be like to increment or to decrement, right? So I'll use my switch over action dot type, because I want to, I will change my reducer or I will change my state based on what the type of my action is, and it will get clear. So hold on. Okay, so the first case would be if I had to, say like set to dos. So which will be this, right? Like if I'm basically first I'm making for this one. Okay, so for set to dos, what I'll do is no, I have to return it, right? So I've returned an object. I'll return the object because see, it's at the end of the day it's just an object, but it has a different version of it. Okay, so I will return first. So this means that I don't want to touch. So for I'm returning my state as it is, which is like the previous state. Okay, and then I'm just changing my to do value to state dot, oh no, it should be my action dot payload. Okay, so it should be my action dot payload, and it's giving us a warning because we haven't passed the default value of state when there is nothing passed. So when any of the case doesn't matches, so we have to return something by default. Okay, so by default I'm going to pass. Okay, so now for this case, like for set new to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to return okay, so let me first do for this set to do, because for set new to do it's going to be a little complex, only a little. So now inside our component or inside the app component, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define my use reducer. Okay, so the way use reducer works is the first thing it takes as argument is my reducer itself, which I've just created, and then the second argument is it takes is the initial state. Okay, so the initial state is to dos, which is this one. Okay, so they're going to be empty initially, right? And then for new to dos or for new to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define my title and description empty, right? So these are going to be my initial state, right? All right, so now you can see that now we will be replacing this everywhere which is where it is used. And then, so in case you were confused that how this to do is present there, so the to do is present there because we have defined this as the current state. So if you do state.todo, then you will get all the to dos that are inside my state. Okay, so now I have commented it out, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dispatch a function. Okay, so you can see what I've done is inside, see when the first time when my app loads on the screen, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get every value from the local storage to dos, and if they're not present, then I'm going to initialize it with an empty array or empty list. Okay, so then I'm going to dispatch my function which is set to dos, right? Set to do, and you can see that what will happen, it will return a state with the to dos being action.payload. So whatever you pass in there will be your new to dos, right? Okay, now about handling to dos. So handling to dos will be it will be similar like so if I can copy this, so now we can see that I don't have to pass anything in the json.pass because this was just for the local storage. Now you have filter to do, so I'll simply assign my filter to do, right? So it's basically and you have to replace this with because now your to-dos won't work since we have commented that out, so you'll have to use state.todos, right? Okay, and this part remains the same. Now here also handle to do check, we have to replace it with state.todos. Okay, and here what you have to do is let me copy it and I will paste this down here, and you can see that now I have to use this one. Okay, so alright, so same thing here also, to-dos. But now inside my payload I'm going to pass an array, because you can see that it's taking all the previous values. So what I'll do is I'll use my state dot to-dos and then new to-do element, right? And then I can comment this one out, since and for this one, for like local service set items, so it's pretty repetitive, right? And then see, so this part we are not going to change since we haven't defined anything, since we have commented it out. So we'll see that in a moment, like how this is going to work out. And here also we have to just replace this with state.todos. State.todos. Oh, now you can see we have no warnings or whatsoever. Okay, now what we can say, if I refresh this, it should still work. And okay, so the problem is we cannot no, there's no problem now. Okay, so let's say gem, go to gem. If I do add to do, we are good to go. And if I can delete, and I can check mark and I can delete, so it still works, right? So this part is clear. So we have completely converted our this to do state to a reducer one, which is still a state, by the way. So it's a state, but now we have converted it into a UseReducer. So in case when if you want to use Redux, so you can see that when you'll be using Redux, so it has a similar concept of reducer and then action. Okay, so and store, but so Redux is actually an advanced topic, so we will cover that in some other video. Alright, so now about set new to do. Okay, so what I want to do is see the way the reason why I commented it out is because it has to, we have to be a little smart over there, since our new see. Okay, so you can see that it is used in three places. So the first one is when we change handle input change. So what we do is see, for my title and description I'm using a same state, right? So that's see what it does is I have provided them a name. So for this the name is title, and for this the name is description. And so whenever you type something in it, it basically sets the value of title or description based on the name of it, and then it sets the value that is stored in it. So we have to be smart, and we have to do something like that in our reducer as well. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, so for this one, for the case, when the case is this, okay, sorry, okay, so when the case is this, what I'll do, I want to basically use an if statement. So if action dot payload dot title, if that is there. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll simply return my state. I'll return my state, and then I will target my new to do, which will be exactly my state dot new to do. And then I will see if that's the title, then I have to set my title as action.payload.title. Okay, right? So if the if we are changing the title, then my title should be action.payload.title, which will have the value that we're typing currently. So e.target.value, something like that. And if so, yes, so I'll say else if this is equals to description, then it should be description that should be action.payload. Whatever is in the description, right? And for the third one, let's not do anything, because, or just return the state, right? Alright, so now we have defined our reducer for that one. What we are going to do is we are going to comment this one out. Let's see how many errors do we get. Okay, so for this part, what we are going to do is simply use this one, and for the type we need to say set new to do, right? So it's simple, it's pretty repetitive, but it's powerful, right? So set new to do, and then what we have to do is we have to pass action.payload. So I can copy this and just paste like that. So what will happen, then it will check action.payload.time. So if this will be type title, then it will set the value of title, right? I guess I'm making sense. Let me copy it because we'll be using it a little bunch of time. New to do, and so now the problem is that we have to use state in it. Okay, because it does not understand what is new to do, since it's part of set new to do. Okay, so right now we can use this one. Okay, so payload. Okay, so in this case it's basically handle add to do. So it's what this line is doing is basically resetting the values to it's basically resetting it to the empty one. It's empty, it's basically emptying it. So right now let's comment it out. Okay, let's not and let's comment this one out, because first we need to get the functionality up and running. Okay, then we can always. And then state dot new to do description, and for this one state dot new to do description. Okay, so there's wording. Okay, so warning for use state, no problem. Now, so we should be able to add some to dos, right? So first one is gem. Always go to gem, never miss leg day. It's added, and check and anything. Okay, so see, we are able to add it, and we also are able to delete it, but you can see that the values are still persisting in the state. Alright, so if you can, okay, so these are the values there because we are not clearing the value. Okay, we cannot use Redux tool because we are not using Redux. So it looks like we're using Redux, but we're not. Okay, so let me do one thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to so first I was thinking that maybe in else I can maybe in this which will be the else one, we will be resetting it, but I don't think it's going to work like that, or it will work, but let's do one thing where we can define a new state or new action type, which will be reset. Okay, let's call it reset, and then we are going to return everything which is in the state, sorry. And then what we'll do is we will assign a new to do to a title being empty. See, it's very simple, right? And description empty. And a pro tip is whenever you are using a reducer, which is a reducer, not a state, so try to be more verbose because it can get a lot bigger than you think. Okay, so right now we only have 3 action types, but you can have like hundreds and hundreds of them. Okay, so where it is, okay, now what we can do is we will just uncomment this, and now what we're going to do is we don't have to pass any payload, right? Because we just want to reset it. So I'll pass an action of reset. Okay, and now let's see what happens. Okay, so let's say gym, go to gym. Now because our action is everything is clear from the state. Now we are not uh, we're not actually storing the state, since we are clearing it the moment we add it. And if you're not sure like what actions are we using, so then you can go and in here and you can console log. Since we do not have any dev tool for this, your UseReducer, and we can say action.type, so it will print log out every action.type. Okay, so set to rows. Okay, so the reason why it's printing is because in app okay, so this is the see, this is the function which runs for the first time, and it sets to do, so it's called my set to do's, right? Okay, so now if I go and say go to shopping, see, it's logging out so many times because it's whenever I type a single key, it basically goes into this one, so it's basically firing an action. Sweet. Okay, so now you can see that I've got my reset. Seems like fun, and if you refresh it, it stays there because we are also persisting it in our local storage. Okay, so the video is already longer than I thought, so yeah, so this is it. So so if you like this video, then you have to like this and subscribe it, and I'll be doing much more than just React videos, and I'll be maybe doing some Python, because I'm actually thinking of making Python videos, right? So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next